light.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I got it.
I'll do it.
I got it. I got it. I can do this with one hand. Sick. Ooh. It's kind of gross out today. That's the first. What's going on, guys? Good morning. Today is going to be a little more chill of a day. It's going to be a garage update video. And the first thing I'm actually going to talk about today is that little fridge that is new to the channel that you probably haven't seen before. And this little guy is a NewAir beverage refrigerator. It's a 126 can fridge, 3.4 cubic feet of space, a bunch of shelves, and you can fit a lot of your beverages or really anything that you want to keep cold. NewAir decided to send this to me and they said, you know, talk about it in your video and tell people what you think about it. And I will say, I know Troy actually has one of these things and I really like it. It's really simple. It's really small. Obviously, it actually fits between the car and the detailing cabinet for now. And actually, there's a setting in here. There we go. So there's a nice LED in here. And then of course, there is a little dial you can change. I just turned it a little colder, so it actually just kicked back on. But you guys might be wondering why I have a glass in here. And the reason for that is I actually have a Budweiser. And don't judge me, I'm actually not an alcoholic or anything like that, but I thought it'd be funny to drink this. It says May 25th, 1999. That is not a joke, that is legit. This is a beer from 1999 that has been cold in the NewAir. So today we're going to do a quick test. If I die from drinking this at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm not gonna drink the whole thing, but I'm just gonna have a sip to see if I will survive. To be honest with you guys, it actually looks normal. So this beer is 20 years old. Cool. Cheers, guys. To be honest with you, it doesn't taste good because I normally don't drink Budweiser, but it just tastes like cheap beer. All right, if you guys want any more 1999 beers, I'll send it your way, just pay for shipping. All right, so we're gonna walk over here to the front of the M3. This is where the M3 normally sits. I like to back it in, but pulling it in straight makes a little more sense so I can hook up the trickle charger, which I don't have fixed to the battery in the trunk yet, so I just do it under the hood. It kind of works because it's nice and tight in this corner. There's a plug here. This is the AC unit. Yes, this garage does have AC, if you guys didn't see that in my initial garage update video. But this actually is the CTEX 7002. Not a product placement, I just bought it on my own because I knew they were legit. I definitely recommend that. It's, I think, around 100 bucks. Absolutely worth it. Definitely that's a huge thing to have in your garage on a car that you're not driving every day. Okay, so moving over to this side of the garage. This is something that is not as organized as I would like to be. But it's a start. So this shelf was here and I sort of just filled it. You know, obviously we have the heavier items, you know, the jack and the jack stands down there. So these are just random things. You know, I have some, you know, spray paint and stuff like that that I put in the bin because I don't want to stink up the garage. This is actually, I'll show you guys exactly what this thing is. It's an F10 M5 shift knob for the E39. I did a short shift kit, but we definitely need to upgrade the shifter because A, it's falling apart, and B, I don't like the old man wood. So this will be a future mod. I did a similar thing on the M3, so hopefully I can retrofit this one as well. There's not a ton of write-ups, but I will make my own and you guys will see that, so don't worry about that. Wheel bucket, we've got a gas can, which I never use. This is just something I lay on. And then these are a few random boxes. Here's like an LED box that I use, and this is the screen for the M5. A lot of this stuff's for the M5. These are oil, obviously, for the E39 and the E92, and then my washing buckets. And then here's something that I kind of hate is This bottom one is very heavy. It's not super heavy, but it's kind of heavy. And this shelf is plastic. So when I go to bed at night, I kind of wonder, you know, like what's gonna happen if like this falls, it's gonna go right there. So that could be an improvement. You know, definitely this is a video where I wanna give you a little more in-depth tour. But also I want you to give me a suggestion because unlike the other video, I actually have stuff kind of in usable place now, where before I had no idea where I was putting stuff. So, all right, let's walk. And the M5 is obviously outside, you saw it. That is the W126 S-Class. I think it's an 08. I actually really like it, but the M5 is a much better car in every way for me. So, you know, it's funny, like I think that's kind of a good daily, but the M5 is absolutely better in my opinion, if you guys are wondering. Here we go back here to the coffee, and we'll open the detailing cabinet for you. And here we are, whoops. And here is the detailing cabinet. Very similar layout to what I had before. The only difference is I have to jam less stuff in here versus before. I don't know if you guys can notice, but my buckets aren't in here. And like for example, my polishers are in here. So this is pretty much strictly detailing only. You know, of course, like stuff like this, I never know how to organize. So you guys that are crazy, like very, very detail oriented people, you know, have, you know, gloves right on top, and these are all pretty usable things. Like I can get to them and I know where they are, but it seems like I could still improve upon the layout of this thing. So definitely leave suggestions below, or send me a message on Instagram with like some pictures, or send me an email. I have my email as well. So if you want to type out a more involved response, definitely send that over. Yeah, so this is pretty much it. I was kind of thinking of doing something different because I'm getting to the point where these are jammed against each other. So I can't fit any more bottles, and I have more bottles. Like I have some more bottles over here that I kind of use frequently. But anyways, these are actually Costco towels. These are for the exhaust or the wheels or something like that. These are my crappy throwaway. These are kind of a similar concept, but they're a little bit nicer. The microfiber terry towels, if you guys are wondering. I've been using this. I'm normally a Adams wash pad guy. I have it here, and I have a bunch of them in here. But I wanted to sort of try out, you know, see what the hype was about this. And it's actually really nice. It holds a lot of foam and soap and all that stuff, so I like it. Favorite drying towels, these are the Geon silk dryers. I wish Geon would be like a company that would reach out and send me more stuff, because these things are, honestly, I'm gonna say game changing, because I haven't touched like these microfibers in ages. Because of the 3 big Geon towels I have now. So a bunch of polishing pads. These are the towels I use for buffing off waxes and stuff. And that's pretty much it. And up here, normally you don't see this because you're standing a little lower. I have a Cobra Jet Hose from MTM, which they so graciously sent me. So seriously amazing, guys. If you're MTM and you're watching this, thank you so much. The only issue I'm having is it can't connect to the Krenzla stock wheel. You can hook it to the end of the Krenzla hose, but then you have 2 hoses hooked to each other, and that's not ideal. So I really want to hook this, put this on the Krenzla, the reel, the hose reel. But I need to get some attachment. So I'm going to talk to Matt from Obsessed Garage and maybe some other people and see if there's an easy solution to do that, because I just want options that I want to actually use that. So this is sort of my designated charging station. It's not super organized, but as you can see, I have a bunch of stuff up here. So when you're sort of looking at it, you can't really see them. I might put them in the cabinet just to make it a little bit cleaner, but that's that for now. And then one of the biggest and one of my favorite, which you may never guess, but one of the best upgrades I've done in this garage so far is this sound system. And yes, this sound system is pretty much as old as I am. I would say it's at least 20 years old. It was actually my dad's. I remember being like 7 years old, and he had it playing in his bedroom, and then he eventually gave it to me when he got a different, of course, no, latest and greatest, but it's just 2 tall speakers there. I don't remember, honestly, if they're 2-way or 3-way, but I think they're actually pretty nice. They have a decent amount of bass, like for this space. And the fact that it's more than just a little Bluetooth speaker is super amazing. But one thing I'm going to ask you guys is, this is how I connect my music, which I know sounds kind of lame because normally people use Bluetooth. But what's actually really nice is I just pop my iPad right here, I turn this thing on, and then you know, I just jam out, and it's amazing. I mean, this thing, if you're not used to having like designated speakers, it's actually super nice to have music that's like an actual system. And I know this is a very basic setup, but you guys kind of get my drift here. So what I was gonna ask you, which I kind of forgot, is I wanna put an iPad mount, because right now I just kind of lay it flat. I wanna get a mount. I've been looking on Amazon, but I don't know, I just haven't really seen anything I really liked. I wanna get a mount that sort of has the iPad sitting like at an angle, and you can sort of bend it forward and backwards and just plug this thing in. So one that either screws into this or clamps in, or a stand would be okay, but the stand can fall off, which means the iPad will probably fall off too. So if you guys have any suggestions on that, that would seriously be much appreciated. And then right next to here is sort of ending of my stuff. This is my toolbox, which is, you know, kind of a beginner set because I don't have a ton of tools yet, but the ones I do have are essential and they are in there. The only thing is, you know, I'm noticing it's kind of heavy, so pulling a heavy toolbox up from up there is a little sketchy. You know, there's a car right here, so you have to be very careful, which is not ideal, but it's fine. This is a detailing light. Well, it's actually not even detailing light, it's a light I use for detailing. And I believe they sell it on Amazon. It's like $200, but these things are insanely bright. And when I want to do a video where, you know, I want the lighting to be much better, which hopefully you guys have noticed, I've done that a lot more recently. I'll set this thing up like right here and shine the light straight up on the ceiling, just so the whole area gets a lot brighter. And a few of you guys actually noticed that, so much appreciated. I've been using that a lot more. So these are just a couple random things. The one is an MTM foam cannon, the other thing is full of a few, you know, quick disconnects and hose different connections. I haven't really decided where I want to put it, but they're both the same box, so I just left it there for now. And that's going to be coming around to here. And then we have the infamous detailing cart, which is a little bit, you know, work in process here. I had to fill up tires of my dad's car the other day, so this is out. This is the stock shifter for my M5 that the guy, he gave it back to me and he's like, well, I can throw it away. I'm like, I guess you can. He's like, well, do you want it? I'm like, not really. He's like, are you sure? And I'm like, sure. So I don't know what to do with it. I wish I had the other one, the new one, to show you. Makes all the difference in the world. So that is hanging out right there for now. And I have just random things. Actually, speaking of more products, this video is, I don't want to be too annoying with products, but this is the Carley Code coating for your car. You can use this for tons of cars, actually. I'm doing a separate video. Essentially, you can just change all of like the OEM settings. It's not a tune, but for like the M3, you can make the front halos brighter. You can adjust the frequency of the intermittent windshield wipers. You can turn off the navigation disclosure thing that pops up every time you start the car. You can change the way the seatbelt things work. You can turn off the bings and bongs. You can change the way that the brake lights light up. So, for example, if you slam on the brakes, you have your sort of emergency brakes. I think on the M3, they're right here. These light up if you are more than like, whatever, 50% on the brakes. But you can also have like the third brake light flash if you're more than 50%. So that paired with that might be, you know, helpful. Maybe someone can see you. Because honestly, on the highway in Florida, we go from 80 to 20 miles an hour very frequently in the morning when I'm commuting. So, which I'm not normally taking this car, but you can do the same thing on the M5. So I'll be definitely coding both of those cars and telling you all about it. It's really just a Bluetooth thing for your phone that you just have the app and then that works. So that's pretty much it. I have a few random things in here, but we're getting going. I mean, really the ultimate question here, guys, is how can I become, you know, slightly more organized and make this place look a little bit more clean without A, breaking the budget and buying like 17 cabinets, and B, you know, working with the space. So I don't know if it's a matter of getting some sort of drawers or something like those bins, which are nice, but then you have to take the bin out every time. You can't really tell what's in it. And I don't really like clear bins that much. So I don't know if you guys have any suggestions, just, you know, let me know. I don't want to drone on about it, but that's sort of the update on the layout of the update video on the garage. I know that there's not a lot going on, but even for my own personal benefit, I like to sort of, you know, blog or keep track of sort of updates along the way. The biggest thing for me is the sound. Whoa, this camera's falling. So I mentioned the biggest thing for me is the sound. That is the most enjoyable part. One of the most enjoyable parts of being out here is the sound. Unfortunately, I can't always listen because I'm filming a video. I have to turn it off, but you guys kind of get the idea. A few questions that people have been asking me is, the one is, why did you move to Florida? So I thought I did cover this, but it seems like, you know, there's lots of new people all the time. The biggest reason is because I had a job offer that was really good. I work in wealth management, and I've always kind of liked the idea of moving down here. I actually did live down here for 2 years, about 3 years ago. So if you go back far enough, probably in my Instagram, you might find pictures in Florida. But that was 3 years ago, so good luck doing that. So I have family down here, and what's up?
Good.
How you doing?
Not too bad.
All right, so what was I saying? I was saying about how I moved down to Florida. Job, family, and lifestyle. Part of that lifestyle is the car stuff 100% of the year, unless it's either 100 degrees, which is a couple of months out of the year. During the summertime, of course, it's very sweaty. But right now, it's perfect. I'm actually in long pants right now with no shoes because I know you guys hate it, so I don't really care. That's the reason I moved down to Florida, is so I can walk around in my socks and sandals. Another inquiry that I get a lot of times is regarding a lot of the mods to the M5. And a lot of people are saying, you know, why don't you do the gauge cluster? Why don't you get the wheels refinished? Why don't you respray the front bumper and respray the front hood and get new front seats that are more comfortable and get new trim on the inside? So pretty much a lot of the stuff that I want to do, that's thousands of dollars, guys. And you should know, I will do a video in the future. I just did a new clutch, flywheel, and rear main seal on the car because it was just trashed. It was, in my opinion, it was undrivable. So there'll be a designated video on that, as well as the retrofitting of the F10 M5 shift knob, which I kind of already mentioned. But the reason I don't just buy everything new parts for that car is because that's not what that car to me is. I know a lot of you guys like the restoration type of M5s, and you know, the only way for me to describe it is that way. You know, where you're just putting OEM pieces and they're brand new and then the car's pristine. That's great. But this car is literally like my beater. And I'm sorry that you guys, it's probably hard for you to hear that. But it's a 15, 16-year-old car, has 100,000 miles on it, and it's rock chip crazy, and it has not been abused, but it's been used over the years, and things are falling apart or things are cracking or whatever. The reason I bought it is because it's such a good condition version of that car, but at the same time, I'm driving it 5 to 6 days a week and commuting in it. And I can't just take the gauge cluster out and just send it out. And I can't just get the bumpers resprayed because it's very expensive, and to me, it's not worth it. So things like that are going to happen over time. But the most urgent things have to happen first, like fluids and brakes, and things like that. Of course, we did the whole detailing stuff, but that's sort of a quick synopsis of why I don't just jump and replace all these things. You know, I'd like to do different suspension on the car because it's feeling a little tired, the suspension, but it's also an older car, so it's not going to feel the same as, you know, the M3 or a newer car or whatever. So that's kind of the synopsis on that. Anyways, yeah, so that covers that. I hope that is, you know, this is a long talking video, but you know, you guys can hopefully understand that, especially like the grills, like people hate me for the grills, but the only thing I say to that is when they hate me for something like that, I just say, well, it's a good thing it's not your car, because if it was your car, you can pick what mods you want to do, just like I pick what mods I want to do. So I think that is going to do it. Actually, I was getting caught up in the M5. I didn't show you something sick I did with the M3 is I painted the brake calipers, which you can barely tell. So I actually painted these things Le Mans blue, which, come to think of it now, was probably a little bit too dark because it's in a wheel well. You know, it's in a wheel well, it's dark, and if we're not in direct sunlight, it's hard to tell. I'm gonna get a light out. But you guys can see, like, see how nice and sparkly metallic that is? It looks beautiful. My goal was to actually get them very similar to the new like M3, like on the F80s or whatever. They have blue. I think the blue that's on those cars is Astora blue, or very close to Astora blue, which is slightly lighter, which hindsight would tell me to get that color, but I'm not even sure if G2 caliper paint comes in that color. This Le Mans was actually a Chevy color. Le Mans was under the Chevy category, so BMW didn't have it, but I figured it was the same. Now, it sure looks the same, it just looks a little dark. So we'll see how that fares in the sun. It was a lot of work, but you know, that it's super exciting. You know, they were black before, but I think that this makes it, you know, a nice subtle change, since they don't, you know, the brakes on this car are not super impressive looking, so I didn't want to go with yellow. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. I'm sorry if this video is a little longer than I want. I didn't want this video to be super long, but that is gonna do it. I thank you again for watching. Don't forget to comment below. There's definitely gonna be some nice content on these cars. I'm making a bunch of friends down here, and one of them, actually, he's a mechanic. He has a shop, he has lifts, he has 2,400 square feet of space. And we're actually, you know, friends now. So I might be going over his place a few times and being able to work on these cars and hang out and, you know, just work on cars and talk about cars. So that'll create a lot of fun content, more fun than like car events and stuff. That gets kind of boring, I know. But anyways, that's gonna wrap it up, and I'll see you guys next time.